3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Dangerzone.
Thank you.
I'm here with Will Lyons, right?
That's right. Yep.
Sweet, I actually remembered somebody's name.
Nice, dude.
Dude, cheers.
Cheers.
It's been an awesome week.
It has been.
Or 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks.
I don't even know what day it is.
I don't either. It's been a flurry of activity
Yeah.
for 2 weeks. A long time, actually.
So Will has been our photographer slash videographer extraordinaire, capturing these 2 Warrior Sailing events back to back.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty fun.
It's been awesome.
Yeah. So let's dial people in. So we just went to St. Pete, Florida.
Should we start with where we're at right now?
Yeah.
This is kind of an interesting place for
Yeah.
a podcast.
Sure. Yeah. We're on a boat.
We're on a boat, and it's like a 84-foot boat or something.
Yeah.
84-foot yacht.
Yeah.
We'll call this a yacht.
With sails, yeah.
Sails,
so somebody doesn't think it's just like under power.
Nice.
I mean, it does have a nice Mercedes engine.
Nice cushions.
Yeah.
A model of said yacht.
Look at this. I believe it's for coming up for sale too. So
I believe it is. Yeah, the
if you're
Metolius.
interested in buying an awesome sailing yacht,
Yeah.
you should check it out because I've been living on it and it's pretty awesome.
That is value added.
Yeah,
in and of itself.
If I could afford it, I would make this my lifestyle for sure.
I think all of us
Yeah.
probably would say this.
All right, I need one of my followers to start an Indiegogo campaign right now. Buy Daniel the Metolius.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, we're only going to need probably like $10 million or something.
Well, you know, what's actually interesting about this is that being a part of Warrior Sailing Program, this isn't even a shameless plug, but
Yeah.
the beauty of a program like that is that you get to use this boat without having to own it, which is way better than owning this.
Yeah.
Because somebody did own this, and they were probably like, this is way too much, I never use it, I paid XX million dollars for it.
Yeah.
They don't want it, so I'm going to donate it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that you save money on your taxes or you make money somehow, but
Yeah.
I don't. It's,
Yeah. Yeah, I think
but then you get to use it.
It's good. It's definitely a good repurposing of a monstrosity of a boat that is really awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and it's still getting some use. I think a lot of people look for that when they're even selling their stuff, like their houses and
Yeah.
everything. I've heard several stories of people who, you know, they wanted to sell their house and they could have sold it for much more, but they found somebody that they knew would like take care of their house,
Right.
or just like really get the purpose out of it, because we
Yeah.
get kind of attached to these things. You know,
Sure.
you live in a place,
Yeah.
you drive a car, or whatever. You want somebody to like kind of get the best out of that thing, like you did.
Yeah. Develop a relationship with it. It's like a friend,
Yeah.
I guess.
But dude, so
Back
yeah,
on
so
track.
now, so we're on the Metolius. We're on a boat. We're, you know,
Flippy floppies.
you may be able to hear the water crashing against the kind of rock in the boat. We're docked right now. We're not actually underway.
And it's pretty windy.
Yeah, and we would have recorded a podcast while we were underway, except that we had to put in some work.
Yeah.
So you were videoing and taking awesome pictures, which I can't wait for those to come out.
Yeah.
People should definitely be following the Warrior Sailing Program, Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah.
and go back and check on the last 2 weeks, because there's already some good photos, but there's going to be more stuff coming out. And what are you working on? Like,
With Warrior Sailing?
Yeah.
Overall? Well, that's a good question. And that's something that Ben and I are still talking about.
yeah,
It kind of all started, well, maybe I should just tell the whole story. I met Ben 6 years ago, maybe. I came to Charleston because I wanted to get into sailing photography and storytelling, I guess.
yeah,
Because I was trying to get a job with this race called the Volvo Ocean Race. It's around the world sailing race that happens in stages.
yeah,
And I was working on a TV show called Deadliest Catch in the Bering Sea, and
What's
we had
that called again? The Deadliest Catch.
Deadliest Catch, yeah.
People should be familiar with that.
Yeah, it's pretty popular. It's been on for I don't know, they're probably doing season 15 right now,
Yeah.
or 16. But I was on a crab boat in the Bering Sea, freezing my ass off, and we had internet on the boat so that they could download weather. So whenever the captain would turn the internet on to download the weather, I had my iPad set up so that it could get onto the internet and get emails or whatever. And one of the emails I would get was from the Volvo Ocean Race, like the latest things that were happening. And I was on a crab boat watching this race and thinking to myself, why am I out here suffering on a crab boat in the Bering Sea? If I'm going to be suffering on a boat, I might as well be going really fast all the way around the world. So anyway, that's how I came to that. One of the ways to do that, I figured, was I needed to get experience on sailboats. So I came to Charleston to do photos and video for this race called the Atlantic Cup, which is a two-person sailing race. It goes from Charleston to, that year it went to Newport, Rhode Island. Now it goes to Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
So in that, I met Ben and Tim because I got in touch with the race organizers, and they're like, oh, go down on the dock and talk to Ben and Tim. You can probably sail with them north and, you know, do that on their boat. Because it's a two-person race, so it's, and there's actually 3 people on the boat, one of which is me, as a photographer / video guy, but I didn't have any role in the sailing at all, other than maybe making some coffee or boiling water for freeze-dried food, you know.
Yeah.
So they essentially, I met these guys on the dock. They gave me a ride north, and Ben has actually approached me a couple times about doing warrior sailing stuff before in the last few years, and I've just never had the opportunity to do it because I've been busy working. And then this year, I didn't have anything going on, and he was like, "This is really cool. I really want you." And I was like, well, that's cool to be wanted, and I'm free, so hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, back to your question. What are we doing with it? Basically, the goal is to find a way. My personal goal, which has evolved since I got here.
Yeah.
You know, when I first came, I was kind of like, okay, well, I'm just going to shoot basically stock footage for them and photos that they can use for pamphlets and any sort of promotional things or whatever, which is a little different from how I usually operate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's more of a like, almost like a contract type of, like, or it's
Well,
a little smaller scope, would you say? Or
yeah.
something? Yeah.
Well, usually I'm more directed in what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So my real job is mostly as a field producer on TV shows.
Yeah.
And basically what will happen is I will get hired. I will go somewhere for 2 weeks or 6 weeks, and I will have a loose set of stories to capture. So my boss will have talked to the people that I'm filming with. They'll be like, over the next 2 weeks, this is what I have going on. And then my job is to take those things and package them so there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then deliver it to the editors, who then are able to turn it into an episode of television.
Yeah.
Whereas this is not. This is way more open-ended, and I said my goal has changed, and I think what's really changed is my goal now, and I think what I can bring to the table is to get the program in front of as many fresh eyes as possible that are outside of sailing or the marine industry, which is where it kind of is now because it's a sailing program.
Yeah.
Because I want it's so much more. Sailing is just the vehicle. Like when I'm working, I think of like the TV shows I do. You know, I'll have a story about a guy. He's got to go fishing for salmon to feed his dogs, his dog team, for running dog sleds in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So in the fall, he'll fish for salmon, and then he'll feed it all winter. That's what he feeds his dogs. So that's like, I think of that as like, that's the backbone of the story, right? Like, he's going fishing for salmon.
Yeah.
And then the meat that you hang on that is like, why is this guy using dogs instead of a snow machine? You know, what is his relationship with the dogs? So you really get to flesh it all out and get to know a big picture of like why this guy's doing what he does and why it's important to him. Because if you don't know why it's important to somebody,
it's like what the hell?
Why are you interested?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
It's like it's an anecdote versus like a story. So.
Why were you sailing? You know, like what's the big deal? You know, I see exactly what you're saying.
Which, you know, knowing nothing about this program at all before I came here, I was like, it's called Warrior Sailing. I know nothing about this. I don't know anything about the veteran community, and I know enough about sailing to be dangerous. And that was pretty much it. So I kind of came into it having no idea of what to expect at all.
I kind of like that, though. I like going into situations where I know I don't know shit. Yeah. It's like, and it's up to me to ask questions, to figure it out, and be like a curious little kid who's like, hey, what's this? What are we doing? Like, hey, what's your story, man? Like, I have a podcast. I met you, and I'm like, hey, I kind of want this guy's story. There's things I don't know about Will that I want to like talk to him about. Yeah. And I thought it was really cool when we met in St. Pete. And you get introduced, and everybody's like, you know, Ben, of course, is very insulting to you the whole time we're here. And I mean, we've captured him on video flipping you off, so, you know.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's how you know people like you, I guess.
Yeah, they say video or it didn't happen. We actually have the video. So, but so I immediately was like, okay, my connection with this guy, I shoot tons of content for my YouTube channel, for, you know, the podcast I'm doing, audio, video, all this stuff. And I was like, okay. So initially I'm just like, hey, I want to pick this guy's brain about, you know, just even the basic stuff of the equipment he's using. And like maybe we can bounce some ideas off each other, which we already have. We've shared like several different things, which is cool. It's like, you know, I didn't expect to run into you. Yeah. You know, you didn't really know what you were getting into.
No idea.
But it's cool that when we come together, these things, like, there is something special about kind of the environment that it's in. Sure. That there is that sort of, we're coming together to learn from each other. It was a learning environment. It was an international sailing camp, and it wasn't necessarily a basic camp, but because you had a mix of skill levels of sailing there, but it was cool.
Yeah. Well, I've talked to pretty much everybody that's participated in the last 2 weeks through the international camp at St. Pete and Charleston Race Week. Yeah. And the one thing that is really a common denominator that everybody talks about, you know, when I ask them what they think the strength of the program is or what makes it a success, is that networking aspect of it. Is you get exposed to or introduced to people that you never otherwise would have met, and you're in this environment where everybody's kind of coming into it on the same level, you know, learning something new, here wanting to learn, and you can kind of leave all this other preconceptions behind, and then at the end of it, like, you met me, we have this other common thing, and other people have talked about, you know, they might have an injury and they meet somebody else with the same injury, and then all of a sudden they're able to collaborate or corroborate their stories on what's going on and share ideas and
things like treatment modalities that are working for that type of injury, or, you know, it's and if you stay at home and you don't get out and meet people at things like this, you're not gonna come into contact with that info.
And it's easy to do that. Like, it's easy for me sometimes. Like, I'll get home sometimes from a job, and I'll have days where I don't even leave my house. I'm just like, I don't even know what it is or like where that comes from. You're like, I don't know. Oh shit, it's 5 o'clock. I didn't even leave today. Yeah. Whatever. But it is, you know, it's very easy for anybody to get stuck. Especially maybe because I don't have a 9-to-5 job. Yeah. I don't really have any structure in my life at all. Yeah. I'm like working, and when I'm working, I'm just working different hours every day, doing, you know, every day is a new thing. And then when I'm not working, I'm at home and I have like no obligations to anything other than feeding myself and making it to the bathroom. Very basic.
And I mean, that's important, right? But what you were leading on to is like, you don't want to get stuck in that. I think
it's easy to get stuck in.
Yeah. I think there's days where I don't do shit.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they look at my Instagram or something. I've been on some other podcasts where they're like, dude, you're just constantly traveling around. You're always just doing amazing. I'm like, well, you ought to see me on my off days. I don't do anything. I'm playing video games and stuff and just chilling around the house. And I think it's important to have balance in whatever you're doing.
Totally.
Right? And just like, sometimes you do just need to take a break for a day and just chill and not do anything.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
You get stuck in that. Yeah. And then you lose your productivity, you lose your, your drive and all that stuff, then that becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can run the vacuum bin.
No problem.
I'm just letting everybody know what you do in the yachting industry. You just clean stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, clean stuff. Just blowing up fenders here.
Work. That's what I always say.
You guys were just talking about taking days off.
We were talking about having days where we do nothing, Ben. Do you know anything about that?
No days off.
I didn't hear that. I don't know what that means.
That was Ben. He's the director / What are you, Ben?
He's a big logistics guy. Logistics kind of planning coordinator of the Warrior Sailing Program.
I mean, he's the captain.
Not a coordinator. No, yeah. He's kind of doing the back of the ground strategic type stuff and a lot of the coaching, like teaching stuff in the classroom as far as the camps I've been to. And then we have another guy named Corey who kind of handles hey, who's moving here? And Corey doesn't know much about sailing. In fact, he was on the Metolius with us, and I asked him to take over for me once. And he kind of looked at me like, what am I doing here?
I'm just here
to
make
dude,
sure
how long have you been with the
gets
program
ready.
and you haven't learned how to sail yet?
Yeah.
So if you're listening, Corey, you need to maybe
step it up.
Actually listen during one of the basic camps you're at, because you're at all of them.
Yeah.
but yeah, but Corey's awesome. He's the one that's hitting us up on the emails and keeping all the contacts and all that stuff. And Ben, I would say, is kind of more of on the strategy side and the coaching side. Yeah. But it's important for all those roles, right?
Yeah.
Like to everybody to come together.
Well, they're a great team.
To put on these camps, it takes a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of coordination, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. And I was so impressed when so I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it, Ben. And everything sailing wise I've been involved with before, there's like no more communication, and I just kind of show up and they're like, well, yeah, we can pay you a little bit, but like here's like also like a couple cases of beer and like here's like a jacket, and you're like, okay, but like that doesn't pay my rent or any of my bills. Yeah. And then there's also it's just a very like, oh, just figure it out, blah, blah, blah. And like, I flew to St. Pete. I've never been to St. Pete or to Tampa. Yeah. Didn't know anything. And I got this like very detailed email from Corey like 2 days before I left, like telling me exactly what to do when I got there and like where to go. And I work on TV shows that are on like Discovery Channel or whatever, and you would think that they would be well organized, and they're not. Yeah. Like, Corey is like, I've been very impressed with the way the whole program runs. Yeah. It's like,
it's a pretty well-oiled machine.
It's pretty well-oiled.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But so we met up in St. Pete, and it was actually for an international sailing camp. We had a group of Canadians come down, and they won the race. But at the end, so
the French are really good sailors.
Yeah.
And the Canadians are speaking French.
Yeah.
So
they're French Canadians that were really good at sailing.
Yeah.
But it was a really fun camp. I thought what was cool about you was you were like dedicating your own time, like even after hours, to like sitting down with people, having conversations with them off camera, not recording. Well, at least I didn't think you were recording, but like, just like getting to know people.
Yeah.
And I think that's important as a storyteller, like, or trying to capture a story.
Absolutely.
It's like getting to know people and like,
yeah.
So the questions to ask, or or I just genuinely find I'm curious. I want to know about people.
Me too.
Is that how you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the reasons, because there's been and still are plenty of times where I'm like, fuck this. I'm so sick of filming these TV shows. I'm over it. I'm gonna get a real job. I'm gonna go to grad school. I'm gonna like do something. And then I don't do it. And then like I don't do it, and I go back on a TV show and I meet somebody cool, or I come do something like this, and it like totally like revitalizes me, because I'm like, wow, I just met a lot of really cool people and I just learned a lot. And there's nothing else I could do that would put me in a position to be able to do that. And I just really like talking to people and meeting people. And I think it's very important as a storyteller, especially if you're, more of like a documentary style storyteller. You've got to gain the trust of people whose story you're telling or that you're working with, because, everybody can give like a canned answer to a question. Yeah. But, I'm not really interested in people's canned answers. For something like this.
Canned answers, is that a Kentucky term?
I don't know. I actually just made it up.
Yeah.
But people can just
like they already have this, and they're like, "Hey, this is my answer for this thing."
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reporter goes up after the football game, and they're like,
"Yeah, well, team did real good."
Yeah, team did real good. I'd like to thank my sponsors and Jesus and everything else.
That's kind of killed professional sports for me, is because even just the interview side of it, like where you hear the same thing. It's like, do these people even believe in what they're playing?
No. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they do, but it's just, the storytelling side of it just kind of sucks.
Yeah, I agree. And I back to the goal of what I want to help with Warrior Sailing is like, this is something that like I believe in.
Yeah.
Like I'm converted, or like I've been I drank the Kool-Aid, I guess. I don't know. This is really cool because I've met a lot of cool people from very different backgrounds than what I'm used to, and like it's like a two-way street, like in meeting you guys who have been through a lot of different shit than I've been through, and I've probably been through a lot of different shit than you've been through, but it's like that again, it's kind of that community, that networking and like community, and like meeting other people that have overcome things, and all of a sudden, it just puts your own life in perspective, and
that's huge.
And it's also just like real, because that's what it is to be a human. Everybody's lives are different, and we all go through stuff, and like being able to realize that like it's normal to like have shit not work out, or like to be fucked up. Yeah. Like everybody does that, because it's easy to think that like, why is this happening to me, or
look at other people's lives, and if you don't talk to them, you wouldn't know that they went through the fucked up shit or whatever, or like they had a hard time. Yeah. Until you get talking to them and get to know them.
Yeah. And it's cool, and I don't know. Like I'm just like, I've never even really had anything to do with any kind of nonprofits or anything before. Yeah. Anyway, and this is just like a neat thing. It's like I've kind of like struggled for a way to take what I do professionally with TV and like translate it into something that's like more useful than selling F-150s on the Discovery Channel, because that's basically what we do. Yeah. The shows that we make are just filler, so that Discovery Channel or Nat Geo Channel can sell ads, because that's their moneymaker. Yeah. So they spend the money on the TV show so that the ad spots are more valuable, and then really all I'm doing is selling like life insurance and Ford trucks and whatever the fuck else they sell on Discovery Channel. Yeah. And any of those.
Now, granted, I mean, the Discovery Channel does have some cool shows.
They do.
Like people are gaining something from watching.
They do. They do. And I'm glad you said that, because it's very easy for me to be completely jaded about the whole thing.
And you see a lot of I've had some reality TV experiences where you really see like some things are not as real as we say they are. They're kind of scripted or whatever. Yeah. But like it's but that being said, I think it's just another thing that people can look to. I think Discovery is cool to me because it kind of gives you that sense of adventure, right?
Sure.
It presents that idea out to the world, and people can watch that, scripted or not, whatever. I mean, there's some.
It's an escape.
Yeah, and people can, but I think some people, if they choose not to just live vicariously through that, they can be inspired to go on adventures themselves.
Yes.
And that's where I kind of like it's what I'm doing with this whole new walk and talk deal where I'm getting outside, bringing the podcast like outsider, and now I'm on a sailing boat that we've just been sailing around all week, you know?
Yeah.
It's not me saying, hey, look how fucking cool my life is, I'm doing this or that. It's saying, hey, here's what's out there. Go get it yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's an interesting point, and maybe I would like to ask you about that because like you're sitting inside an 84-foot Royal Houseman or Houseman, some sort of mega yacht. I have not spent much time in a boat like this.
Yeah.
You probably have not spent much time in a boat like this. How difficult is it to get here? Like, what are like the steps for you to take to like do something? Because this is probably initially was pretty far outside of
I think it's very similar to how you ended up here, which was you just had a feeling, right? You had met Ben.
Yeah.
He said, hey, I want to do this. And from what you were saying, it sounded like intuition was telling you, like, hey, I just need to go do this thing.
Yeah.
Like, whatever it is, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
But I just need to go see this one through.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, going to work on my, like, master's degree or something. There's a million other things you can be doing at any time.
Yeah.
But I really think it's plugging into your intuition and following your gut. Like, okay, hey, whatever this opportunity is, like, it feels right out of all the things I could be doing right now. And I actually, I guess to kind of further that point before I get to like how I got here is there was kind of this defining moment when I started this podcast. And I was like, there's 100 different businesses I wanted to start at the time because I'm an ideas guy. I have like really fucking cool ideas and I want to do them all. You can't do everything at once. And so I was getting really overwhelmed. I was just like, and dealing with a brain injury, and you just have like whole days that get like fucked up because you get hit with a migraine and seizure and all this stuff. It's just like, you just feel like, fuck, I can't get anything done.
Yeah.
There's all this shit I want to do.
Yeah.
I can't get it done. And what I had to do is literally like write a list, and I said to myself and just ask the question, what can you do right now?
Right.
Like in this moment. And on my list, it was start a podcast. It was like kind of one of the last things I was thinking about doing.
Yeah.
But that was the thing I could do right now and the thing that felt right.
Yeah.
And because I was building an off-road racing team, that was taking some time and way more money than I thought.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of money to build an off-road rig. And I just like, I hit kind of a wall there. And I was like, I need to start this podcast to, you know, if I get sponsors someday, I need a platform that I can, you know, promote them. So let me just start this thing. And then I just dove into it head first.
Yeah.
And like really got into the weeds and like started researching. And this is why like I have all this, you know, went from the first one, me and my brother, I couldn't get the mics hooked up and I just recorded it on the speaker audio from the computer, which is terrible, you know, but I just needed to start. It needed to like something needed to be the catalyst.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, I had my speakers and the audio improvement just went up immediately.
Yeah.
And now, you know, I'm going back down to where it's like, okay, now I'm trying this walk and talk thing, and there's like a little drop off of like quality, you know, just trying to figure it out. But it's like I'm trying to do some next level stuff. So,
right. Yeah.
But
well, you got to keep yourself engaged. And, you know, it's kind of like the snowball rolling down the hill. Like once you make that first little ball and you push it, it picks up momentum. And it's crazy how a thing like that can just you can do it without even thinking about what you're starting, and then it can just
and if you look at my podcast, if you look back at the other episodes I've done and the people who I've sat down and had conversations with, it's like, holy fuck, I was just getting upset about an off-road racing team not like getting built overnight. And I found the one thing I could do, and next thing I know, I've met the Prime Minister of Denmark twice in the last year. Like, it's just, and it's all because I started. I followed my gut and my intuition.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I ended up here.
Yeah.
That's why I'm on this boat. That's why I'm on this yacht. I was I'm getting ready to do the DoD Warrior Games coming up in June. It's in Colorado, and I found out about that because I took a chance on going on a trip to Denmark for a Warrior Week there.
Yeah.
Turns out all the SOCOM guys that were there competed in the Warrior Games. So they're like, oh yeah, we do this thing. It's called Warrior Games. I was like, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was for guys like that have concussions and stuff. I just thought it was all for amputees.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had an open class to compete in.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to compete. So went to a training camp down in Tampa, and they had 1 day of sailing. And it was like, I was like, I've been wanting to learn how to sail.
Yeah.
I'm going to this thing.
Yeah.
Again, following my intuition. Like, hey, that's something that feels like it's in my wheelhouse. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like where I feel like I should be.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take, instead of doing all the other, there's tons of events I could have been doing. Riding bikes, golfing.
Sure.
Doing anything else. But sailing felt right to me, so I went. And next thing I was on a boat with Ralphie, who I've done a podcast with now.
Right.
And I stayed at his house,
Yeah.
like down in Tampa.
Yeah.
So like, that's what started me down this road. And I immediately fell in love with sailing. I knew I was going to love it. I love being on the water.
Yeah.
And then I just started putting my hand up. I said, when they say there's events, I'm like, yeah, okay, hey,
Yeah.
send me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm ready. I want more, And that's, and being proactive.
Yeah. And it's not that hard to do, really.
Yeah.
You just go like this.
Yeah. And also being willing to make some sacrifices yourself.
Sure.
I think some people, when it comes to doing opportunities like this, especially in the veteran community, some of the uglier side is there's been so much benevolence and so much kindness. Some people get used to everything should just be free.
Right.
And I don't think everything should just be free. I
Yeah.
think sometimes when you want to do something, maybe you should invest a little something in it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
kind of comes back to the storytelling thing where if you're going to be watching somebody or hearing a story about somebody doing something, you've got to know why it matters to them. Otherwise, it's not important. And it's like there's that. I hate the word, but it's true. Like there's always stakes. There's always kind of something at stake. You're always putting something on the line to get something that you need, and that's what makes a good story.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same way. Like you can have a bunch of people do stuff, and if they don't have to put anything into it besides just show up, what are they really getting out of it?
Yeah.
It's like if you don't put a little of yourself into it, you're probably not going to get a lot out of it. Which I think is a cool thing about this program is that it's just not. It's not like a gimme.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're at race week and people have to pay their own way to get here and whatever,
Yeah.
which is one thing. And it would be nice if maybe they didn't as much, but it's also the program teaches you not just how to sail, but you can get into all aspects of.
And we don't have to be these beat up, wounded veterans who are helpless and just need to be babysitted and coddled. We deal with our injuries. I had a super bad migraine when we were out after a long day being out in the sun. My brain was fatigued.
Yeah.
Boom, fucking bad migraine seizure hit me. I was laying on this couch that you're sitting on right now.
Yeah.
Just curled up, shaking and stuff. It's not that we're not still dealing with the hard stuff, but you're capable. You're capable of spending some money to either find some healing that the VA doesn't offer, or go take a chance and dive into a passion. Try and find a new passion of doing something and find a new community.
Yeah.
And network and talk to people.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to pull your wall down a little bit when you're at this thing, because that's the cool thing about things like this. It's a group of people where you're coming around the same thing and you have that in common.
Yeah.
And it's okay to kind of hey, you can give yourself a chance to bring the wall down a little bit.
Yeah.
And connect with somebody.
Yeah. I was talking to William, who was on the boat, and he was telling me that he's never. I just went up and I didn't know anything about this at all. I was just kind of shooting some video and some pictures, and I came up and I was like, "Hey, can I ask you a question with the video camera?" And he's like, "Well, it depends what the question is." And I was like, "Okay, fair enough."
Mm-hmm.
He was like, what are you doing today? What's going on here?" He kind of filled me in, and he did it. And afterwards, he came up to me. He's like, "I've like never let people even take pictures of me before, and I don't really know why I did it, but I did it." So that was pretty much all he said, and I was just like, wow, like here's a guy who is, I don't even know what all he's dealing with or his background is or anything, but he's like in this situation where he's obviously feeling comfortable enough with the people that he's around to be able to bring that wall down a little bit, which is got to be huge. I mean,
he did. A wall did come down, and he was an Apache pilot, forever. And
that's like going in to aggressive missions. Like I don't know anything about the military, so. But that's like an attack helicopter. That's not like we're gonna go drop supplies off or like pick some people up.
There's actually a cool thing I found out the other day. Did you realize all the military helicopters are named out their Native American names?
I guess
Apache, Comanche.
I guess that's true.
Kiowa. There's like,
Chinook.
Yeah. So there's like, if people are curious, this is just a random like. I have these like random facts that I like see that I think are cool. Yeah, and it's like there's like Native Americans will get the like Native American Association or whatever will get together when there's like a new helicopter getting developed for the U.S. military, and they like come up with a name for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did not.
So
know that
isn't that weird that there's like this connection between like the military and like.
Yeah. That is random.
Yeah, it's like totally random.
I wonder how that began.
What
the history of that was.
But yeah, it's a cool little thing. People, if they're curious about it, they should look up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've covered a lot of it, dude, but it's so I guess my next question is like, so there's been times like that where Will says that to you, or we're having a conversation, but you said earlier like you haven't had much experience with veterans. Like, have any of your was any of your family served or anything, or like?
My grandfather was in the Korean War, but he was like a tail gunner and like a big B whatever for a little while, which is strange because he's a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
But he never really talked about it, and I don't think it was like a very big part of his life, or maybe it was, and he didn't ever really talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's it. My dad's from Ireland, and I had my dad's great uncle fought in the Boer War or something, but basically no, I have no military background. But my brother is in the Navy.
Oh, okay.
Now, which he joined like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's been interesting because it's just so nobody in my family really understands where it came from or how it or why. It's just kind of this outlier.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much. I don't.
Have you ran into many veterans on the your work with like Discovery or any other shows you've been on?
Not really. No. Not that I know of.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to get you to like do a deep brain exercise or whatever, but like
we did on Alaska: The Last Frontier. There is this guy named Danny. Mm-hmm. He was a Marine for a long time, and now Danny. He's still Danny, but he likes to wear high heels, and he's got like giant breasts, and he is a very rad dude.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those guys you meet and you're just like, I'm such a douchebag for like having preconceived notions about people,
Yeah.
You know? But I think, that's another thing. I was coming into this, I was like, okay, like, what's this going to be like? What are these guys, And I think you think like, okay, are they going to all be amputees, or are they all, going to be special forces, or, because my knowledge of the military comes from movies and books. So you're always just thinking everything is like so extreme and whatever.
Yeah.
And then you realize, and it really actually doesn't matter, because what I found very quickly is like, oh, these are just people, guys and girls, that it doesn't matter. I would be friends with most of the people I've met anyway, whether or not I knew that, and it's like,
we're humans too.
But I think it's easy. Like, people probably are uncomfortable because you don't know how to approach it, and so people will probably come up and be like, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of awkward and kind of a weird thing to say, and like, I wouldn't actually feel comfortable saying that, and I haven't said that to anybody in the camp, because like, to me, that's puts a wall up. You know, it's like, I don't know how to relate to you, so it's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Thank you for your service.
So I have this blank statement. It's like,
and also, like, I mean, and maybe I'm wrong, but like, as far as I know, nobody that I've met was forced to go into the military. They volunteered, because that's how our military works right now.
You volunteer. Service grants citizenship. Oh wait, no, that's not how we do it.
And it's like, that is like a thought out thing that you do, and like, it's good. I don't know. I mean,
I think you're onto something. And I think if I could tell it from my perspective is, I knew what I was getting into. Sure. I signed up for it. I was like, that's my life, and I feel like sometimes the whole thank you for your service, or not taking the time to try and like, just look at us as another human being that maybe you can connect with and like talk about, or like have an investing in each other's lives. Like, hey, what can we have to like share with each other, as opposed to this separation of like, either sometimes I think the human factor is disconnected when it comes to the military for some reason. Because the military kind of loses that when they look at their own force that's made out of humans, and then like, it's from the public's perspective, it's kind of projected that way too. And there really isn't. It's like this invisible divide that's been set up, and sometimes I think we put veterans up on a pedestal, and it's like, oh, they're all heroes, they're all great and everything. No, there's some assholes. Like some straight up dicks. And I mean, but that's fine. I mean, civilians are dicks too. Everybody's, I guess, I would challenge people to do what you do, and just like take everybody as an individual approach, and like see what they're about, and see if you can connect with them, and see what you have in common, and find that common ground and strike up a conversation. You don't have to say like, thank you for your service, and then like, or I thought about, the other one is like people roll into like how they thought about joining one day or something. And it's almost like that nervous, like, so you don't have to do that. You can just strike up a conversation. Like,
you just start by asking somebody where they're from.
Just like you would anybody else. Like, hey, where are you from?
Well, another thing I didn't really, I mean, I guess I know, but I never really thought about it. Ben is talking about what a large veteran population there is, or a large percentage of the population are veterans. And I think it is harder probably once you do go. I mean, this is from what I hear from people and whatever, like, and I could see how it would be. You go into the military, you're part of a definite community, probably a stronger community than civilian
like
life.
A crew on this sailboat would be if they've been out in the ocean for a while.
Exactly. And then you get out and you've lost that, and it's like, the more community we can build in this country, especially now, the better. Like, what the fuck? Like, we are getting so just individualized, and it's ridiculous because you probably have a lot in common with somebody. You might not share the same political views, or you might not like the same food or whatever, but like there's so many, like that's such a good thing. Like it's such a good thing that we don't all want and like and whatever the same shit, and it's fun to like meet people that are different, and like it's like awesome, and it's human, and that's like the whole fucking point. So it's too bad that people like divide and draw these barriers and whatever. Like, I don't know. It's kind of going on a rant, but
no, it's awesome.
Your thing just fell over.
Oh.
Well,
the rant just like killed the camera. Okay, we're back on.
Oh my god.
You know what's awesome? I'll be able to. Holy shit.
We're fucking weird now.
We're wigging out on the.
I just think that, you know, another aspect to all this is, for me, I was pretty much completely over being involved with sailing from any kind of a standpoint, besides just going sailing for fun, which I love to do.
Yeah.
But from a media standpoint, you know, like the problem is you get a lot of people that, you know, maybe I'll get some more coffee later. Fuck that real quick. If there's some more. I don't want to like diss anybody, but at the same time.
Hey, you speak your mind. I don't filter.
You want some more coffee?
Yeah. No, I got enough.
Okay.
No, I'm adding some more. Sweet, we're back in business. But so you're about to talk about you're kind of over sailing.
Well, yeah. So I've been involved in like the sailboat racing thing, and you know, people are like, it's the same with anything else. It just hit sailing a little later, where all of a sudden, you know, they want all these stories, and they want to like do this and like really tell the story and capture the story and like be onboard storytellers and all this stuff. But like I'm so like, it's not an interesting story most of the time because you've got a really wealthy person who just wants to go sailing for whatever, probably because they need to spend money, you know?
Yeah.
And then instead of like donating or whatever, they're just like, I'll just spend it to go sailing, and they'll run some huge sailing program. And the interesting part of the story is a lot of the people that work for them who are like really struggling to get by, but they've chosen being involved in the sailing community as their profession.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people do, and it's a legitimate job, and there needs to be people to do it. You know, it sounds crazy because you hear the term yachting. People always say yachting. It's such a horrible word.
Yeah.
And even sailing, you just think like, oh, these are like rich people on Martha's Vineyard, like hanging out in the summertime, like going sailing, whatever.
I always think of the Wedding Crashers scene when they go out and like they like lied about their background, and so they're calling out all these sailing terms and they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
When I hear yacht or like people say, that's what I thought of people, was like exactly what you're describing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just it's not authentic, and like you don't ever really get good stories because people are like so concerned with like crafting their story or their image or you know, it's just not an interesting story. Like you're like, so what you have at stake here is you spent tens of millions of dollars to go cruise around, to go do some race. Who cares?
Yeah.
But this is cool because you've got people that you would never see in the sailing community, in that they are total outsiders, and then they're coming to an event like Race Week, which is total insiders for the most part.
Yeah.
And like participating, and like you guys just don't come to it from a you just come to it. You just bring a whole different perspective to it.
Yeah.
And you're like so into it for so many different reasons, because you're just like, I want to race, or I want to just be out here and learn to sail, or like I'm just trying to like learn new things, and it's just like refreshing, and it's kind of like taking the hard way there, Chris.
Yeah. we have a live audience, by the way.
Yeah.
Nice.
If you want to come be a live audience member for the Dangerzone, you just contact me, DM me, private message me, and I'll give you the price breakdown of what it costs to get live tickets.
I think we're sold out for this show.
But yeah, no, I think we do bring a different perspective to that sort of world that you described, where you have these super wealthy people who buy boats, and it's like, but here's the thing, is I can still connect with these people. There's still stuff you have in common.
Totally.
It's if you allow yourself to bring down your barriers of whatever pedestal you've propped yourself up on.
Yeah.
Because I could easily say, hey, I was in MARSOC Raiders, like, oh, you weren't special operations or you weren't in the military, like, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how about you get on my level? How about you like rewind your life, 50 years and go back and join the military and get in special operations.
Yeah.
And then we can talk.
Yeah.
Or I could just treat you like any other human being and have a conversation with you.
Yeah. But well, I don't know. This whole thing is kind of like, I kind of like it because I feel like it has a little element. It's almost like a little punk rock. It's like kind of a little punk rock.
You hear that, Ben? The We're Sailing program is a punk rock program.
It's kind of a little punk rock.
It's not the first time I've been outside the line.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, and that's really, I don't know if anybody else thinks or cares about that, but for me, that's like one thing that excites me. I'm like, okay, this is different and cool and exciting and fun.
Things that aren't punk rock, things that aren't different are boring.
They're pretty boring.
Yeah, people that are listening to this, they're listening to it because I'm Daniel the Barbarian. Barbarian means other than Greek, other than Roman, if you look up the definition. And it's not necessarily saying you're just like completely savage. It's just saying, hey, you're fucking different than the main society of things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that.
And so it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Great.
We can all sail together and be super different, or
well, I mean,
or your buddy Danny can come sailing with us with his tits and everything. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Did it go there?
Oh yeah. We went there. We're going around the world here.
Well, that but I think that
and of course when Ben shows up, immediately starts like, condescendingly or like, hey, what are you guys talking about? Like.
Well, one thing that one of the hardest things to me just about sailing is that it's something that I have loved to do since I learned to sail. I went to summer camp when I was like 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
Learned to sail for like the 2 weeks I was there, and then became obsessed with sailing until I was like 15, and then I was like getting more that was all I gave a shit about. Like I didn't give a fuck about anything. I live in Kentucky, so it was like kind of difficult. But I found a club on the lake an hour away, and like these people they'd like take me. My parents would like drop me off at their house, and they would take me to races in Ohio and Indiana and stuff on weekends. And like I just, you can get into it if you want, but it's like one of those things that's really fun to do, and you can always learn. And there's like all this strategy and tactics, and like if you like technical stuff, you can get as techie as you want.
Yeah.
But it's.
Or you can just get as raw as you want.
Or you can just get as raw as you want.
Stay on these huge, jib lines that just pull and just use your muscles. And
if you want to just go out there and just grind away and just use your muscles, there's a lot of people probably looking for you.
But there's also tech, you said.
But it's like it's one of these things that I think so many people could love and like benefit from, but it can be so hard to get into.
Yeah.
you know, if you don't have connections or whatever. So it's cool that you guys get an opportunity to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they've made, you know, we're sitting here on the Metolios, which would be totally unapproachable for me in my current state, you know?
Yeah,
Until
or anybody. I mean,
yeah.
if we walked into any of the other boats on this dock and went in and sat down, maybe we would get kicked out. Or maybe they would be cool.
I mean, they could try.
Probably
They could
nobody
try
on
and kick me out.
They could try and kick you out.
Yeah. We'll
It's
see how
true.
it goes.
Yeah.
We'll see who ends up driving the boat away from
Episode
the
2, yeah.
Episode 2.
We're gonna go kicking some doors.
Pirate
Taking
code.
on boats with Dan the bartender.
Pirate code has been enacted. You know, it's like,
Who knows?
but yeah, dude. I mean, we've covered a lot of ground. It's the only other thing I was going to ask you about was how does a boy from Kentucky get into sailing? And I mean, it's something.
Anybody can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just gotta like, I mean, yeah, that is how I got into it. It was just a summer camp, and then I don't know. I found ways. I met people. Like, my parents like knew somebody that went sailing once, or that knew somebody that sailed. And actually, the funny thing is, my dad is from Ireland, and this guy that he knew as a teenager in Ireland had moved to Kentucky also, and my dad heard that he lived in town, and it turns out he sailed these boats called Flying Scots, which are these like terrible bathtub boats, but they're really popular in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And he had one of those, and we would go sailing with him. And he was like one of the people we went sailing with. And it was like this guy that my dad knew as a teenager in Ireland, 30 years later, happened to live in Kentucky and be a sailor and have a boat and live in the same town, and then we would go sailing together.
Yeah.
And that's just fucking weird. I don't know. It's one of those things, I guess, like you're saying, follow your intuition. Like if you want to do something and your intuition is telling you to follow a path, you just do it. And
Yeah.
now I just take pictures of people sailing. And when I go sailing, it's at home, or I live in Washington,
Yeah.
Columbia River. And,
Oh, that's an awesome area, isn't it?
it's great. Yeah. And my buddy Scott and I both have lasers, which are little one-person dinghies.
Every time I hear that, my brain just goes to a completely different
Lasers?
route. Yeah, I'm up in space and we're like shooting starships.
Well,
I do not think of a sailboat when I hear the word laser.
beams.
Yeah.
sometimes we are in space because, you know, weed's legal in Washington and Oregon now, so you can,
Nice.
you can totally go
Yeah.
space on it if you want.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also really windy, and I hadn't sailed a laser since I was like 15. And the first time I got on it, the one I have in the Columbia River, they're pretty small boats. And I'm a lot bigger now than I was when I was 15. And
Well,
I
I'd hope
fucking
so,
sat
yeah.
on the thing, and it just like flipped over, like to windward. And I was like, holy shit, this is like way more athletic than I remember. But when I was younger, I always wanted to be bigger because it's easier to keep
Yeah.
it flat. But it's really fun. It gets really windy. And I'm sure probably this summer sometime I'm going to find myself in a situation where the mast breaks in half on it, and I'm going to have to find out how to get back to shore.
Yeah.
Because
See, that's the part I like is when I'm forced to jump in the water. And
Yeah.
I'm still like hoping that happens at one of these warrior sailing things, so Ben just has like a heart attack or something.
I just had
As
a
we're-
heart attack.
As we're trying to like turn the Metolius,
about it.
all 84 feet of the Metolius around in like
Oh,
open
that's-
ocean as I'm just like disappearing. But you know what?
Yeah,
If
I don't
that's the
think-
way
I don't
I
think you
go,
want
that's the
that.
way I go.
yeah, well, that happens.
Yeah, I know it happens. Yeah.
Have you met Hannah Jenner? Did you do? Were
No.
you? Where was Hannah? Where did she?
Charleston.
She was here.
She was here for the
Yeah.
certification camp. Yeah.
Mm.
So Hannah,
I haven't met her.
she is a small and now very ripped British girl who's a sailor. And I sailed across the Atlantic with her after I met Ben and Tim. And she was a skipper in this race called the Clipper Race, which is basically, it goes the wrong way around the world.
I think
Right.
they go the right way now.
They go the right way.
Yeah, maybe they got a little bit smarter,
Yeah.
but not a whole lot.
Anyway, you want to go with the wind. You want to be going downwind in
Yeah.
the ocean, pretty much as possible. But this is a race where people pay for a position on the boat, and then you have a professional skipper, and I don't know if there's any professional crew on there.
They take 3.
A couple of professional crew, and then basically paid clients. And they were in the Southern Ocean at night and lost somebody overboard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're going downwind, so as soon as, it doesn't matter if you're doing 6 knots or 10 knots, as soon as you lose somebody at night, you're just so far away from them so
and
fast.
the ocean is so big.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you can be like, oh, they were by that tree over there or anything. And she told me the story, they rescued them.
That's awesome.
And were able to get back and pick this person up, and it was pretty much, they had one shot at it. And somebody was able to they had a light, and somebody passed the light up, and she was like, keep the light right there, but somebody else, just because they didn't know, grabbed it, but the light was plugged into a DC outlet on the inside. So somebody like grabbed the light to run back to shine it, because the light was already on the person.
Yeah.
And they tried to get out, and they unplugged the light, so they lost the light on the person. And then in the moonlight, I guess, or somehow the boat went down.
Moonbeam just hit it.
The boat went down, and a wave came up, and the person was on it, and they were able to grab them and pull them back in the boat. But it was a gnarly story. I'm sure she'd tell a lot better than me, but
that's awesome that they got him.
Incredibly fucking lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Somebody just died in the Volvo race.
Yeah, no, I saw that. Yeah. But I mean, that's part of it, man. We got to die sometime.
True.
It's
I mean, part of it.
Yeah. I don't think the dying is part of sailing.
Okay, Ben, we're not saying dying is part of the warrior sailing program, okay?
That's why I teach you how to go back and pick them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, just for the record, anybody listening to this, the warrior sailing program is super safety conscious, and it's almost like to a point of like frustration. Yeah.
I'm actually not doing it on purpose,
because
but it is happening.
I was not a leash baby. Like, I was running around in the woods of Arkansas on my own from a very early age.
Is that where you grew up?
Barefoot, yeah.
Arkansas?
Yeah.
Where? What part?
Conway,
Where is
Arkansas. It's 30 minutes like northwest of Little Rock.
Okay. I went and did one of those Ultra 4 races outside of Hot Springs.
Oh yeah, that's south. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Really pretty there.
Oh yeah. They call it the natural state for a reason.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I haven't found a reason to go back there. So I grew up there. I spent like my early life there. Yeah. So there's so many other places I want to explore.
Sure.
And that's a nice way of describing why I don't feel the need to go back.
Yeah,
right. You know what it is? People are just a little slower. I like a little more fast pace.
Right.
And I mean, I like to cruise too, but it's just like, I used to have, in the military, you can have your vehicle registered at your home of record. So when I'm like stationed in these big cities like DC or Chicago and stuff, like, I'm not going to register my vehicle. I'm going to keep it in Arkansas, because I drive this 1990 model Suburban that had no Cadillac converter. It just had straight glass packs. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get this thing inspected and like licensed anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I better keep it registered in Arkansas.
Yeah.
So I have to get on the phone from like a different city, which doesn't exist to the DMV workers.
Yeah.
Like in Arkansas.
Yeah.
They don't know that there's like other places in the United States besides like Conway, Arkansas, because they haven't left like the town.
Yeah.
You know, so when you're you might as well be like an alien, like beaming in, like through the airwaves, just be like, hey, I'm contacting you from this other world called California,
DC.
and they're like, well, I've never heard of this before. You know, it's just so slow, just like, come on, hey, I need to get this phone call going. Let's go. And so, yeah, there seems to be a lot of that, which is cool for some people.
My last
maybe when I retire, maybe I'll go back there or something. But
my last Kentucky driver's license I had, I went in to get it because after the last sailing race I shot pictures of, which was the Atlantic Cup 2 years ago, I got so blackout drunk in New York City I lost my wallet, so I had to like, redo everything. And I went to get it done, and I had a hat on. And it was like a 90-year-old lady, like running the driver's license office. And she's just like, smile pretty. And I was like, still had my hat on, so my driver's license, I had a hat on in it. And everyone's like,
awesome.
This is not legit. And I was like, fuck yeah, it is. It's Kentucky legit.
yeah.
It's Kentucky legit.
Cool. Well, dude.
Ben, you gotta go. I do need to get to
let's
FedEx.
let's wrap this up, dude.
All right.
It's been awesome having you. It's been awesome meeting you and
Yeah.
like going on like multiple adventures from St. Pete up to Charleston Race Week.
Yeah.
And do you have any way for people to contact you, or you just kind of find work on your own, or like are you looking for people to contact you anyway? You have a website?
You can email me. Thank you.
That would have been more interesting at the beginning. Do it.
Here, the guy that doesn't drink is dry.
Is the worst influence ever.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
I haven't tried. Oh, this is gonna be coffee
This
flavor.
Wrecker rum is delicious, and I'm gonna put some in my coffee.
That is good.
Also,
Did you just do that, Ben? You just did that.
I have a future sponsor with Pit Viper sunglasses. DM me if you want my purchase code. Demand, respect, and authority. But anyways, yeah. How can people contact you? Email.
My email is lionswr@gmail.com. Or I'm on Instagram.
How do you spell Lions?
Lyons.
Okay.
Or you can find me on. You can DM me on Instagram through my Instagram story because I know how to do those now.
Yeah. Contact you. Follow
My
your
Instagram is Willie Willy Lyons Lyons.
Cool.
Willie Lyons.
Well, dude. Hey.
Anyway.
Now we can do a proper cheers and not just cheers and coffee.
Cheers.
But dude, it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to like maybe seeing you in the future.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Cool.
see you again.
Awesome.
On
Thanks
the high
for joining me.
seas. Cheers.